everyone, it is Thursday, which means it is now time for This Week in Seminary. So, on this episode of This Week in Seminary, we have completed our fieldwork requirements for the semester. We are still working our way through the Old Testament. We have covered about 3 or 4 more articles in the Augsburg Confession. And we have moved into the U.S., and it is the U.S. at this point. So we are no longer in the colonial period. We are now in the early nation period, I guess. I don't know what the technical term for that is. But today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we were doing in our worship class this week. I found it really interesting and inspiring to hear our professor talk about sending. And some of you probably remember this from all the different times that we've talked about it before. But there are 4 parts of worship, right? We have the gathering, we have the word, we have the meal, and then we have the sending. And the sending is the shortest part, right? The pastor kind of does a benediction, there is a hymn, and then there's the dismissal at the end. That's kind of it. There's not really a whole lot more to it. And our professor this week talked to us about how sending is the shortest because we are rightly focused on word and meal. However, sending is incorporated into every aspect of our worship, right? That everything that we do, every liturgical act we take should be oriented towards sending. And that's because the sending is reminding us that we are Christians, and we are church, as our presiding bishop, Elizabeth Eaton likes to say. We are church for the sake of the world. And so every action that we take in worship is to equip us and to gear us to be church in the world. And the sending is a reminder of how we do that we are to go in peace and remember the poor, to go in peace and serve others. I really enjoyed this particular lecture because I felt that it did a really good job of talking about the diaconal call of all Christians. The professor didn't use the word diaconal, but our theology teaches that in baptism, every single one of us is called to diaconal ministry, to be a servant, right? And as your deaconess, I have gotten some extra education and formation to do that. However, everyone shares that call. Pastors, deacons, and lay leaders, and anyone else who just is baptized. Sorry if you hear my puppy. I really appreciated how he tied together that word and sacrament and service all flow into each other, that all are part of the Christian life and all are part of Christian worship. That worship is not just for those of us gathered here in a space, whether that's virtual or a physical space, but we are gathered for the sake of the world, and we are gathered to be sent out for the sake of the world. Just some thoughts from seminary this week.